The history of Carcassonne. Imagine a flying pig. When under siege by Charlemagne and his mighty army, the city of Carcassonne needed to survive on one bag of grain and one pig. Under pressure to surrender, Lady Carcass had a cunning plan. She force-fed the pig with the grain and fired it over the wall. The sieging army then retreated, believing that Carcassonne would never fall because of its endless supplies. Whilst they were retreating, Lady Carcass, who had fallen in love with Charlemagne, supposedly called Carcassonne. This is supposedly where the name Carcassonne comes from. The Siege of 1240. Besieged and battered, Carcassonne still stood during the siege of 1240. Sir Raymond Roger Trencavel, who had been overthrown in 1209 by Simon de Montfort, returned to siege the city with Spanish support. After having successfully defended the castle, Guillaume des Armes, Seneschal of Carcassonne at the time, sent this letter to the Queen of France, Blanche de Castille: To his most excellent and super illustrious Lady, Blanche, by the grace of God, Queen of the French, Guillaume des Armes, Seneschal of Carcassonne, her humble and devoted, sends greetings and faithful service. Let it be known that the city of Carcassonne was besieged by him who calls himself Viscount Trencavel on September 17th. We had a good deal of wood which we could use to build hoardings and palisades. They had so many crossbowmen that no one could leave the city without being wounded. Afterwards, they set up a mangonel before our barbican at the Narbonne gate, and we immediately set up a very good trebuchet inside the barbican, which hurled stones at the attackers until they fled and surrendered their mangonel. Moreover, lady, they began to tunnel to the barbican of the Narbonne gate, and then they set a fire in the shaft that they had made so that when the wood was on fire, a certain part of the barbican split from the front. Also, they began to mine underneath a certain other tower of the lists, and we countermined so that we destroyed the shaft they had made. We swiftly made a good hoarding with arrow slits so that none of them dared to approach us on that side. Also, you should know, lady, that they not only besieged us but attacked us. We had so many good crossbows and people motivated with goodwill to defence that they lost a lot in those attacks. Afterwards, on a certain Sunday, they summoned all their knights, crossbowmen and other men, and all at the same time they attacked the barbican defending the castle, and we descended into the barbican and had so many stones and bolts drawn and thrown at them that we made them withdraw from said attack, and many of them were killed and wounded. Afterwards, on the following Thursday evening, they heard rumours that your people, lady, were coming to our aid, and they set fire to the houses of the town of Carcassonne, and completely destroyed the monastery with the wood they had used for the palisades. And all who were in said siege fled furtively on that same night, as well as those from the town. A question that's been asked many times is what made Carcassonne such a good fortress? The answer to that are the magnificent defensive features. One of the main defensive points is the Vardé Tower. This tower was supposedly undefeatable because it had its own water supply and troops could survive in it for weeks without contact to the main castle. Another important feature is the open throat tower. This looks like half a tower and is very effective even when the outer wall is breached. The defenders cannot set up a defensive base, so the tower becomes useless to them. The towers of Carcassonne are made up of different types of rock because through the ages many races have built up the castle. In the middle of the tower the rock is Roman because it was inhabited by the Roman Empire in 0 AD. The medieval rock is near the top of the tower. The medieval rock is also at the bottom because they needed to dig downwards to level the ground inside the walls. In the 1850s, Viollet-le-Duc spent huge amounts of money to restore the city of Carcassonne because it had become a National Historic Monument in 1849. In order to restore it, he needed to knock down the houses of the villagers to create a wide space between the outer and inner walls. He then continued to restore the roofs of the towers. The renovations can be seen when you look at the top of the towers. The rock is modern and the roofs are quite tiled. The reason Carcassonne has stood for so long is the amount of attention that's been paid to the most minor details. This effort and this will to survive has created a truly masterpiece of engineering.